Hey, how's it going? The video you're about to watch is a little something different. It's something I just kind of sat down and did. I've wanted to do it for a while. One, trying out some different things with screen record and stuff like that with the software. But I also want to go over a little bit on how we pick bulls and how we decide who gets bred to who and things like that. Yes, it's a little bit long, but hopefully you find a little bit of good information out of it and things like that. Just put it on in the background during, grab your favorite beverage, whatever you want. But hope you like the video. If you got any questions, by all means, please leave them in the comments. I'll catch you guys later. All right, we're gonna try something a little bit different. So when I do things like picking out bulls, and we're getting close to AI season, we're actually going to put cedars in probably next Wednesday. So I definitely have to figure out who I'm going to breed to who, or who I think we should breed to who, and do we have the bulls I want to use, and do we not have the bulls I want to use for who we're actually going to AI, especially when it comes to heifers. So some of this I'm going to screen record on my laptop and see how that works out. So I'm trying something a little bit different, but we're going to go. I created a spreadsheet, and I do this every year. And yes, my Dodge is right here. Dodge is helping, right, buddy? Yes, I see that. Yes, you're helping. Okay, so this is the tab I had kind of showed earlier in the year with all the breed dates and stuff. So I do another one where I actually I do a download off of ASA, and I have to get rid of a bunch of lines and stuff like that because they're animals that they didn't get any removal codes over the years. But then I come up with a spreadsheet like this, and basically it's their tattoo. I leave the tattoo, I leave the name, but then I leave all of the EPDs that you see here. So it's direct calving ease, it's birth weight, weaning weight. Honestly, I could probably get rid of the average daily gain because I really don't look at that one that much. At least not yet. That's a pretty new EPD. And then you have maternal cavities, milk, weight, stay, docility. Docility is actually kind of a newer one too, and honestly I don't know how accurate it is. But I still look at that a little bit. But then I'll put the cows in here. As you can see, these are all the active cows. The younger ones, the heifers that we're going to breed, are these right here, the L's. So it's a GL, a CL. All these L's, these are our yearling heifers. So they're going to get bred for the first time this year. And this is all he wants. He just wants cuddles. So going down the list. But then the other thing I will do is down here, I have some of the bulls that are already in the tank and and their EPDs, and granted, their name is here. I don't really care what their tattoo is. And then this is actually how many we have in the tank currently. And then EPDs here. I didn't grab Dominion or Sensations EPDs. I don't really need to because like Dominion is going to get put on Lily, the yearling heifer that we have. Most likely Sensation is going to end up on share, unless I pull the trigger and I grab something else. And yes, we're coming from the confines of home base, which is sitting on the floor in front of the couch. But for right now, I have and what we're going to use on heifers, and unless I grab somebody else quick, honestly, I want to breed like the first week of May. Typically we set it up for like a Friday night We'll have a couple that'll come in early Thursday, and then finish them off on Fridays. So typically that'll be put a seeder in. We're gonna put seeders in on Wednesday. They get a shot of it's typically cistrulline, which is a GnRH drug that the seeder kind of, I think of seeders as like a wall. You have all these different lines set at different points, and then the seeder is the wall, and then as you're going along, everybody's hitting that wall at the same, ending up at hitting that wall at the same time. That's kind of what the seeder does, as far as like the cycle of those heifers. So, say a heifer cycled last week, and then one cycled 2 days ago, one cycled today, another one cycled next week, and then everybody's on like a 21-day schedule. So then once you put that seeder in, then everybody's hit that wall, and then you stop. The estrus cycle stops. And then a week later, so we're doing the 7-day co-sync. A week later, the following Wednesday, we pull those seeders, and then we give them a shot of Ludolase, or it's like Estramate or something. There's a couple of good generic ones out there that our vet likes to use, and they've worked pretty decent for us. But then that actually kicks them into cycle. So everybody has stopped, and then a week later we pull them, and then we give a shot of the Ludolase or Estramate, or the PG, the Progrestulan. That is not how you say it. But you give them, you just for short, it's the PG shot, whether it's the Ludolase or Estramate or something like that. And then that actually kicks them into heat. And then when you actually breed, you give them another shot of the GnRH, or GnRH cistrulline, and that helps ensure that they're actually going to ovulate when when you actually breed them. So now, the 3 bulls that I'm going to use on our heifers, and again, I might pull the trigger and grab another one. So right now is Bold Ruler, Eagle, and Mic Drop. Mic Drop I'm going to reserve for the little bit better developed ones, just because he did come just a tick bigger, but he still definitely hits the mark on his numbers and accuracy. I took all the accuracy numbers off. There was a column for accuracy in here too, and I took that out because right now I don't really care, because I know that they all have decent accuracy behind them. Bold Ruler I think is definitely I probably am going to get like 10 more Bold Ruler, because I really like the way some of his calves are already going, and it's only been like 4 to 6 weeks on some of them. And I think he hits the mark on pretty much everything, as far as he's got the calving ease, he's got some solid growth, he's got good maternal calving ease, he's got average to slightly better than average maternal calving ease, and then he has a really good API number, and again, accuracy behind all of that. He's a younger bull, but he's still building on accuracy. And I'm going to be totally honest, I don't really look at the beef numbers, the marbling and the yield grade and all that stuff, because not that stuff's not important when raising beef, but what I'm trying to do is build a better cow. So when I look at EPDs, and I look at the EPDs of the bull and what the bull can do actually, and what his pedigree can do or has done in the past, is trying to build the next better cow. If you focus a little bit more on the cow, like good bulls or good calves will come. That's kind of how I look at it. Taking this cow, and when we breed this cow, if we got another heifer and we wanted to keep it, what would we want it to do or be? Does it have a high birth weight? Does the current dam have a high birth weight? does she need a little bit lower birth weight in her next generation? And you can tell he's such a pest sometimes, and all he wants is pets. He just wants pets and cuddles and attention. Actually, he probably just really wants me to fill his treat ball again, don't you? So we're always trying to build a better cow, not necessarily chasing a number, not trying to have the highest, the best calving ease, the lowest birth weight, the highest weaning weight, the highest yearling weight EPDs. We're not going to chase an EPD number. We're trying to balance her out. Does she have high birth weight? So then maybe we use a lower birth weight bull, but that doesn't necessarily sacrifice in other areas. And that's one reason I like Bold Ruler, because he gives you the calving ease at 17.7. He gives you the low birth weight. Now I'm playing tug of war. He gives you the low birth weight, but he still gives you solid weaning weight, yearling weight. And I really like the fact that he's got a 12, a plus, over 10 for maternal calving ease, to hopefully, for those females that Bold Ruler throws, getting some calving ease out of them as well. And then not sacrificing on milk either, which is something that I definitely, I keep going back to all around, but I think all around, I used all around in the wrong spots. And when I say that, I mentioned it before, that I do a lot of the selecting and the picking and stuff for what we do and who we put on who, and then I'll talk it over with Dad. We'll have a 15-minute conversation in the milk house, and I'll jot them all down on the board, and I'll explain why. And sometimes he has a couple of suggestions and things like that. And if we want to change them, we'll change them. If we don't, we don't. It's not a big deal, but we go through them all. So that's why I like Bold Ruler. He kind of hits every mark. And then he has a 192 on his API, the all-purpose, and from what I read, if you want to retain females, the API number is really good to look at. And then next, of course, is Eagle. The only thing Eagle kind of shies a little low on, his maternal calving ease is kind of low. His milk EPD's actually been coming up, and we're gonna find out next year how good an Eagle heifer is, because we are gonna be breeding one this spring, so it'll be interesting to see how she is. But he hits the mark everywhere else, and he gives you a low birth weight, but he gives you a lot of punch everywhere else with the weaning and yearling weight and stuff like that. So I'm definitely using him, starting to lean not away from not using him at all, but starting to look at, because we've used him for a few years now, starting to look at, okay, what's next. Mic drop is actually, he's kind of in that similar, like, stats and numbers wise, where Bold Ruler is. I mean, he gives you good calving ease at 12.9. He gives you a decent low birth weight at the -0.4. Maybe not as low as Bold Ruler, but definitely right in there. And then his performance numbers are good. A good maternal calving ease number, and then a very solid milk number. And then still a solid API number. So as far as like heifers go, right now those are the three that we have. Again, mic drop I'm going to reserve for some of our more well-developed heifers. And then mainline is also on here, that I wanted to try last year, and I only got them bred. We only got mainline bred to, I think, 2 animals, and they didn't stick. But he kind of hits all the marks too. He's very similar to Eagle, but with a little bit higher birth weight. He definitely hits the, he definitely has a good milk number. He still has a nice calving ease, a little higher birth weight, good performance, and that's kind of what he's known for, is just you know, solid all around bull. So then when I look up at these different, let's go to BL 301 Leia. And a fun fact, so Leia is out of Phantom. We call her Phantom. She is a Sheer Force daughter. So I went with Leia because of the Force. Okay? Just that loose connection. Yeah, I like Star Wars, okay? So it just fits. All right. So Leia is actually our first bold ruler calf. She was the only bold ruler we had last year. And she's been turning out really, really nice. She's well developed. She hits all the numbers. Probably the only, like if I were to say on her, if I'm looking just at the numbers, the only thing I would probably do to her is I want her to have a little more performance. But at the same time, those are probably two numbers that as a heifer, I'm not going to chase anyways. But she already has good calving ease because she's out of a sheer force and she's out of bold ruler. So it's kind of calving ease on calving ease. So those are both two numbers that you don't really have to mess around with. She already has a very good API. We don't have to look at anything to adjust that one. Really, it would be more performance. So I want to find a bull that one fits her pedigree. You know, that are we gonna be far enough away from any kind of like inbreeding type of situation. And out of these three, obviously the only one we can't use would be bold ruler. And since Leia is fairly decent, I mean she's pretty decently developed. She's a good size heifer, and she has the numbers to back it up. Bold ruler also has a high maternal calving ease number, so that's another reason why I'm picking mic drop. I'm going to breed her to mic drop because I think one, pedigree wise, is going to fit. It's going to complement all the other numbers, and then hopefully he gives a little bit of boost in the performance department. Now, if I felt that performance was like an actual issue, which I honestly don't think performance is an issue, it's just lower numbers. The EPDs anyways are just lower numbers because of EPDs of the past animals, of who they are. You know, her physical performance I think doesn't necessarily represent her actual EPD numbers. And actually, let's do a little trick now. I already have this set. So right now I'm actually into the herd book, and I'm not logged in. I don't need to be logged in, and this is just a real quick one. So you can just go data search and hit animal search, and I already know if I just do that, if I do just the OS, the O/S, it's going to bring up all of these, and then I can just quickly find Leia. I don't have to type the whole thing out. So here you see this is her registration page. So it's got her pedigree, it's laid out. You know, you've got the sire, maternal sires and maternal dams, grand dams, all that kind of stuff. If you come down to Expander Report, it'll show you what the birth weight was. Now these are adjusted numbers. If I log in and look at it as me or as Ohrmundt Simmentals, it'll give me actual birth numbers and actual weaning weight numbers. But if you're just outside and looking at it, as anybody out there looking at it, then it's going to give it to you as adjusted numbers. And for birth weight adjusted, they'll slightly adjust the number based on the age of the animal. So actually for Phantom, it's probably not adjusted at all. Like if it was a first calf heifer, I think they add like 6 or 8 pounds to whatever that number is. It's not a huge amount, But because what they're trying to do is give you a birth weight based on if this was out of a mature cow, because she's a first calf heifer. But this is a calf out of Phantom, so she's already a mature cow, and it's probably not adjusted at all. But then what they do is they give you a ratio, and the ratio is like based on the EPDs of the cow, based on the EPDs of the sire, we're predicting it should be X for a birth weight. So now she calved at an adjusted weight of 77, which is probably pretty close to what she was. So she ratioed 91. So she only hit 91% of the predicted birth weight. And that's the way I read the ratio of the birth weight, is that she was 9% lower than what she should have been. Now, if you look at the weaning weight, adjusted weaning weights are all based off of the 205-day weight. So if we took their weaning weight and say she was, 250 days old, they would look at what her average daily gain was based on birth weight to the actual day she was weaned, and that was 250 days. They would take that average daily gain, and then they would subtract off to get to 205, and that would be the adjusted weaning weight. So her adjusted weaning weight was 552, whatever. But based on the predicted weaning weight, based on EPDs of the dam and the sire, she actually ratioed at 106. So she was actually weaning a little higher. She performed a little better ratio-wise than she was predicted to. So there's also those stats to look at as well. So if we go back here, mic drop I think is just going to be a great compliment to her. Not necessarily fixing anything. I'm not really fixing anything here, other than maybe just supporting just a tickle bit of growth. And then let's go down to our eagle, this FL 913 Luna. And I have to remember, I gotta start learning their names. Just a couple of years ago, or last year was actually the first year we actually did names, or 2 years ago. And honestly, Joey, just because we give Joey so much grief, I know Joey, and I know Joey. That's about it. But as you can see here, we have a Jane, a Jenna, a Jetta. So, yeah. Actually, no, we don't have Jetta anymore. Jetta was cystic, and we sold her. So, see ya. And Jane, I call her DJ. That's the one I always call DJ, because, DJ. Yeah, it's pretty simple. But like, you come up in here. I know Cora. But we have a Chloe, a Kylie, Katie, Kira, Cassie, Kara. So I mean, I just don't remember them. Lucy, Luna, Linda, Lexi, Leia. So yeah, let's look at Luna. This is the eagle daughter. So this is an eagle out of our True Justice cow. So again, looking across the board for her, not really a whole lot of fixing needing to happen there either. She's good on calving ease. Her birth weight's right where it should be. And honestly, birth weight I think is looking at your birth weight EPDs, I think is overrated. And I think to an extent, obviously. And I think your birth weight is overrated to an extent. I'm doing the hoof tape thing, and we get 95, 98 pound calves all the time. That's not a huge deal. But what's the other thing that happens with those 95, 90, 98 pound calves? Mom spits them out like a dime. It's not an issue. We had a backwards calf that needed help, obviously, and that one heifer that had the mic drop, She needed just a little bit of help. I mean, I literally put the chains on, leaned back, and didn't even pull, just leaned back. She took care of the rest. So it really has a lot to do with their bone structure. How, are they longer legged? There's probably a good 10 pounds there. I mean, if you took a calf that calved at 95 pounds and you're like, oh my god, that's way too big for our cows, and then put them next to a calf that was 85 pounds and you'd be like, oh my god, 85 pounds, perfect. But he's just, the only difference is they're just a little bit physically different in size, but he's not necessarily wider. Wider is really the biggest issue. If he's longer, so she has to push out 2 more inches a calf, not really a huge deal. So birth weight EPD, I think once you start, like some of our calves, you've got this EL50, this Lexi, and then CL913. CL913, that's one, that is a line that has high birth weight. Always has. So her at 6'1", yeah, that's an area I would look at. You look at Lexi at 2.2 birth weight. A lot of that birth weight EPD is coming from Bruno, because those are Bruno daughters. Her mom, CE50, has a low birth weight EPD. Actually, where is she? She's a minus 1.9. So am I looking to fix that? Not at 2.2. I want to see how she performs over time, and then worry about it some other time. Because honestly, that EPD could start coming down as she starts having calves. All right, let's go to GL 313. GL 313 is probably, I was looking at her today, she's probably the best overall heifer, if not the best, one of the best heifers we have ever produced. She is a true justice out of an upgrade high roller daughter. And that's ZBG 313. And I've pointed out ZBG, she's a nice cow. She produces great calves. She is not the prettiest looking animal in the world. She's got that high tail set, but she's a really nice cow. She does have a little bit higher birth weight as far as Lucy's concerned. She's got a 9.3. That's pretty decent for calving ease for an animal. But where she makes up for it, and even the 3.4, that's, if that's a true number, if that holds true with accuracy. Now, these heifers I did not get DNA tested. Maybe over time I might. But she definitely makes up for it in the performance area, and she did perform well. She was definitely one of our better performing animals. Maternal calving ease, she's above average, so that's really good. Not really a number to fix. And then milk at 26, that's a very solid number. API 126, I think 126 is about average, but she is very well developed. Drop on her as well. If I'm looking up at CL913 with the high birth weight, the low calving ease, all that stuff, she's getting bold ruler. Not going to take a chance there with trying to push my limits a little bit with mic drop or something like that. I'm just going to give her a bold ruler, because I also want to help with this. Hopefully that helps a little bit with the maternal calving ease side of things, and we're going to go that route. And one of these heifers is going to get switched to an eagle. It is definitely going to get switched to an eagle, and it might be CL 913, because both CL and CL and EL have very good milk numbers, and that's one thing I don't want eagle to do, is be detrimental to their milk number, which I don't think he's going to be. Being out of Bruno, I also think that those two numbers are probably a little bit low. I mean, they're average to slightly above average. So one of those two is probably going to get eagle. Right now I have him at bold ruler, but I only have 5 bold rulers in the tank. And we're trying to avoid either a road trip to Shawano, which isn't a big deal. It's only an hour, but it's still a road trip. So we'll see about that. One of those two, I think, looking at it more and more, I think that's gonna, one of those is gonna get changed. Yeah, and I gotta double check pedigrees. Yeah, I gotta double check pedigrees. I think it's gonna be CL913 because her mom had an awesome eagle bull calf this year. He's the one in the hoof tape. That's the 104 pounds. So that's the only reason now CL's half sister, the True Justice daughter that we have in production, that really nice 913, she had an awesome eagle bull calf a couple years ago. He too is a little bit big, so I think she's gonna keep CL913 is gonna keep bold ruler, I think, and then we'll maybe use eagle here. So then I will just change this and spell it right and take it off caps lock, spell it correctly. And then there's also like notes back here. If I want to take notes, I'll jot some stuff down. But I will just kind of go down through the list. This Kira, that State of War daughter, she's already been in heat, and honestly I forgot to mark down that she was in heat, but it was like 2 weeks ago. And so she might be one that she might very well get AI'd, and I think honestly throwing mainline on her would be just a brief look over the EPDs. It'd be like breeding, EPD wise, breeding the same exact animal almost, right? Or am I looking at a number wrong? Oh no, that would be, yeah, that'd be really good. That'd be a good fit for her. Second calf, mainline, yeah. Or just gonna get mic drop. I like mic drop. If he didn't get struck by lightning, which really sucks. He's a gorgeous bull. But again, I'd like to find one more bull. And I know this video is getting kind of long, and I might edit some of it out, or I might just like literally dump it in like this. I'm not sure yet. So I like Genex. I like their lineup. The only thing I'm not crazy about is it's like almost everything is a Cavingese bull. I just want a bull that's got just a little extra punch. Now, one bull that really has me curious is the bull Gibbs Essential. He has the stats. He's getting accuracy behind those stats. I've seen bulls from him. I've seen daughters from him, like pictures anyways. But I'm gonna be really honest. It's not a good looking bull. Like there's just something about the way he looks that just kind of turns me off a little bit. So I don't think I'll use him. But I don't know. There's just like his head is way too feminine for me. I'm not overly crazy about it. I guess I'd like to see a video of him on the move. I haven't really looked for one yet, and I probably should. I wouldn't mind see what he looks like on the move, because maybe it's just a bad picture, but then again, why would you post a bad picture, right? But I mean, stats wise, he's awesome. They do have a couple of newer bulls that I might take a look at. But then, like, you look at this King James bull, and honestly, he's very, very nice. Now, granted, he's a Genesis, which is a proclamation. Bold Ruler is a proclamation son. So you kind of got to watch out for that. But then at the same time, you look at some of his stats, but his own personal performance, he only weaned at 602, but he's got a 95 weaning weight EPD. So it's kind of like, that kind of thing. So I would have to look at, looking at this guy. Now, granted, he's only a 2022 model, so I would have to look and see what kind of production he's done so far and whatnot. But like, so this is his ASA number. So I can take that, bring it back here, and do a search. I'll put it in registrations. I hate it when it leaves the extra space. So here's King James. So if we look at him, and this was a little bit of a gripe that I had, and I've sent an email to the ASA asking if they would be able to do this. But if you come down to progeny report, okay, here we go. So this is now all of the King James progeny that has been reported to ASA. If you look over here on the left, so this number in brackets, you can tell a couple of things. You can tell if it has brackets, it's not registered. If it doesn't have brackets, it's registered. It's registered. And so far, all of these are unregistered. If I click into one here, see it says non-registered animal. But what I've asked is, we've got all these EPD columns, all of them. Can I get one more column or two more columns, one for birth weight and one for weaning weight? So that as I look at all these numbers, say the first one, maybe his birth weight was 100 pounds. Maybe the second one was 80, and then 75, and 78, and 76, But then it kind of gives you just a very quick look that says, oh, this is what his performance was. He was a consistent low birth weight bull if you're looking for a heifer, heifer bull. Or he was a consistent, really solid weaning weight bull if you're looking for, putting pounds on for that aspect. So that's one thing I would love if ASA would add. So I need to find one more bull, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. I have also looked at, there's one bull that at Select Sires, and yes, I have them set. My Google Chrome already knows where I've been thousands of times. I am really intrigued by High Life. I like the way that this guy is put together. He has got stretch, and I love his beefiness, his muscle. He is a high road son, so you got that beacon in there. I like beacon, but I also kind of like to stay away from beacon, just because everybody has beacon. But that's not meaning that he's a bad bull. But we've got a high road out of Big Casino, but he's got a nice moderate birth weight, very good performance, yearling and weaning, and his EPDs with accuracy back it up. Very good milk, very solid in the maternal cavities. This column down here, this third column, actually is what the percent ranking in the EPD. Like, okay, so this 14.7 calving direct calving EPD is ranked in the top 15% of the breed. or you go, you go into this milk EPD, top 3% in the breed. So that's what this bottom number means. And then the accuracies, 0.92, well, that's 92% accurate. So there's still some variation there, but definitely a good accuracy number. So he is on my list, but of course, contact for availability. The thing that Dad would not be impressed with is the big white blaze. So the other place I've been digging through is Cattle Vision. I like going on Cattle Vision. That's another really nice one. This Broad Range, he's a little bit older bull, and I really like the way his pick, how he has matured. A little bit weaker in the back end, but he's got some nice long muscle back there. But again, check for availability. So we shall see on some of these. But yeah, I really just wanted to kind of go through, and I know we're at like 45 minutes, and honestly, I might even just dump this 45-minute video all on there, and you guys can view at your leisure. But I just kind of wanted to show you the method to my madness of how I pick bulls, how I go through it, how I rationalize, why did I pick this one. And it's really, as long as the pedigree fits, and yeah, as long as the pedigree fits, I'm looking to build a better cow. What does the bull I want to use, how does that complement, and how does that make something better in the animal I'm breeding it to. So it seems to be working. It doesn't work every time, that's for sure, but takes two to tango, and if it flips one way or the other, then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, all right, I'll catch you guys later.